The black SUV door slammed shut. "Shut up. Don't say another word." The voice was cold, commanding. Not from a man this time, but from Naomi Pierce, a tall, striking black woman in her 40s, dressed in a snow-white suit that gleamed under the Los Angeles sun. Her driver froze, his hands trembling on the wheel. In the back seat sat Ethan Voss, her longtime executive assistant, white, mid-30s, eyes darting between Naomi and the young street boy outside who had just tapped the window. The boy's voice trembled. "Ma'am, they're going to kill you tonight." Naomi's silence said it all. Her stare cut sharper than any knife. Ethan shifted uneasily. He knew the boy wasn't lying. Naomi Pierce was the face of Pierce Dynamics, a multi-billion-dollar tech empire that had risen from nothing but a woman's raw genius and defiance. The city worshipped her, boardrooms feared her. Yet, behind the glass walls of her empire, envy had taken root. Her fiancé, Dylan Cross, a charming white venture capitalist, had quietly built an alliance with Ethan, her assistant of 10 years. Together, they planned to wrestle her company away, forging signatures, rerouting funds, and orchestrating her downfall. Naomi, sharp as ever, sensed it. But she waited. Her mother once told her, "Don't fight storms. Let them come, and when they hit, you'll see who stands." It started with a message. A mysterious email landed in Naomi's private inbox. "Check your board. Your trust is poison." That same night, the street boy, Caleb, barely 11, appeared near her mansion's gates, begging to wash cars. He whispered that he'd overheard Ethan and Dylan in a restaurant, plotting something called Project Wideout. Naomi didn't flinch. She handed him $100 and said softly, "If you ever hear that name again, come back." Days later, her accounts froze. Her board demanded explanations. In public, Dylan stood beside her, hand on her back, smile immaculate, while Ethan adjusted the microphone. Naomi saw it. The way Ethan's thumb brushed Dylan's sleeve, a subtle signal. Her empire was being stolen from within. That night, Naomi drove alone to South LA to find Caleb again. He sat by a broken neon sign, clutching a worn notebook. Inside were sketches, the logos of Pierce Dynamics, and beside them coded words he'd overheard. She smiled faintly. "You're sharper than you look," he replied. "So are you, ma'am." Naomi contacted Detective Avery Holt, a seasoned black woman from the LAPD's cyber fraud division, one of the few she trusted. Together, they devised a trap. They'd leak false data, an announcement of Naomi's resignation, and an emergency board meeting. Dylan and Ethan would move to finalize the transfer of control, believing Naomi had stepped aside. Only this time, the meeting would be recorded. Every transaction traced. Every betrayal captured. Naomi looked in the mirror before the storm. "You both wanted a queen without her crown," she whispered. "Let's see what you do when the queen fights back." The next morning, inside the marble-floored boardroom of Pierce Dynamics, cameras rolled silently behind tinted glass. Ethan opened his laptop. Dylan smiled, signing the transfer forms with a flourish. "To a new beginning," he said. The door opened. Naomi stepped in, radiant, unreadable, followed by Detective Holt and 2 officers. "Gentlemen," Naomi said coolly, "before you toast to your betrayal, you might want to check the clock." Dylan's grin faltered. Ethan froze. The large monitor on the wall flickered, showing their own recorded conversations, their own voices whispering, "She'll never see it coming." The room imploded in silence. Detective Holt cuffed Ethan first. Dylan tried to flee, but Naomi blocked his path. "You wanted to play God in my empire," she murmured. "Now meet the woman who built it from ashes." Weeks passed. News outlets exploded with headlines. Pierce Dynamics heir arrested in $300 million fraud plot. Naomi refused interviews. She sat quietly at her late mother's home in Georgia, where the air smelled of rain and magnolias. Caleb visited often, now dressed in a clean school uniform Naomi had arranged. One afternoon, he asked, "Why didn't you send them to prison forever?" Naomi smiled gently, "Because sometimes losing everything is the heavier sentence." She handed him a letter of scholarship, a future she'd quietly built for him. Months later, while cleaning out old archives, Naomi discovered something that froze her heart. Among old employee files was a letter from 12 years ago, a plea for a job from a young woman named Grace Voss, Ethan's mother. Rejected. Grace had died of illness shortly after, leaving Ethan in foster care. Naomi realized the bitter truth. Ethan had grown up hating the empire that turned his mother away. He'd sought revenge, not money. Naomi stared at the city skyline, whispering, "Hatred raised him, and mercy will bury it." Months later, Naomi rebuilt her company with new policies, mentorship programs for underprivileged youth, scholarships in Grace Voss's name. Caleb's picture hung on her office wall beside a quote. "The loudest power is silence, the kind that waits, watches, and strikes with truth." Naomi Pierce had been betrayed by men she trusted, but the storm that was meant to destroy her had only revealed her strength. She smiled as she looked out her window. The city glimmered, and for the first time she felt peace.